overwrought.
I am a doctor, sir, and I must insist that you relax yourself and say nothing until you have eaten.
Thank you. If I might have a biscuit and a glass of milk, I have no doubt I should soon be better.
Mrs. Hudson is preparing something at this moment.
Please forgive this weakness. I really must.
For the Priory School, it is not every day, Dr. Huxtable, that so distinguished a castaway as yourself is beached upon the hearthrug. In speculating what storm had blown you hither, I took the liberty of searching your person. I hope you will forgive me.
Yes, of course.
Please, sit down.
Your watch, unblemished for at least 30 years, suddenly, this morning, scratched. When you thrust those coins unthinkingly into your waistcoat pocket, the stern habit of a lifetime trampled underfoot. A small occurrence, perhaps, but only small, I think, in the way that a vibrating needle may signal an earthquake. The state of your beard demonstrates a considerable disruption to your routine. 3 days ago?
Matter of the utmost importance.
I regret. Dr. Watson and I had extreme epidemic of scarlet fever. And then, of course, the epic of any murder coming up for trial. Now, only a very important issue could call us away at the present. More than that, Watson. The letters after his name. Ha! Almost half the alphabet. One of the greatest subjects of the crown. Eh, Dr. Huxtable?
One of the greatest. The Duke is an intensely solitary man. He abhors the prospect of public scrutiny. How important it is.
The princely offer, Dr. Huxtable. You have failed only in describing the villainy.
Forgive me. Lord Salter, the Duke's...
This abduction happened 3 days ago?
Last Saturday night.
Why have you waited so long before consulting me?
I feel it and admit it.
What form did the demand for ransom take?
There has been none. You see,
No demand for ransom.
none. It is one of the most perplexing aspects of the business. For the boy, as indeed, by the way, is his bicycle.
If he has abducted the boy, why has no demand for money been received?
You're certain?
Quite. Mr. Aveling checked all the bicycles.
Dr. Huxtable, do you really mean to suggest that this German master rode off upon his bicycle in the dead of night, bearing the boy in his arms?
No.
Then what is this theory in your mind?
The bicycle may have been a blind. He may have hidden it somewhere, and the pair gone off on foot.
Surely he would have hidden a couple of bicycles if he desired to give that impression.
Yes, I suppose he would.
Of course he would, Dr. Huxtable. This blind theory of yours will not do.
Now, Holmes.
Sat. And pack!
He was not entirely happy at home. The Duke's marriage had not been a peaceful one. It ended in separation by mutual consent.
How did you come by it? Is it common knowledge?
I've had some confidential talks with Mr. Wilder. The Duke said...
To our heart's content on the train. Even I may find my appetite is keener for a few days in the bracing atmosphere of the fleet.
Preparatory school in England. Lord Leverstoke, the Earl of Blackwater, Sir Cathcart Soames. They've all entrusted their...
From his father.
It arrived on the morning of his disappearance.
Had you received one from Italy?
Not recently.
Where is the letter now?
It cannot be found. It must have been on the boy's person.
Why is that, do you suppose?
There's a mouse, sir. In the wainscot, sir. And the waiters both up, sir. Sometimes, sir.
Mouse. So any noise from Lord Salter's room...
Well, the door creaks, sir. We always hear the door.
On the night of the disappearance. Did you hear anything there?
No, sir. We couldn't even hear the crying.
Crying?
Yes, sir. He sometimes cries, sir. Sometimes, sir.
Found nothing in the grounds?
There's no knowing what I have found. The trail is...
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
The Duke is waiting, Mr. Holmes.
That will never do.
Grace?
Him first.
When I learned that the police had failed...
It is by no means certain that the police have failed.
Oh, but surely, Mr. Wilder...
You are well aware, Dr. Huxtable, how anxious His Grace is to avoid all public scandal. He prefers to take as few people as possible into his confidence.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wilder. The matter is easily remedied. Mr. Sherlock Holmes can return to London by the morning train.
Oh, hardly that. Moors. Who knows, I may at least find Herr Heidegger's bicycle, if nothing else.
This is not a trivial matter, Mr. Herlock.
Mr. Holmes, I'm afraid it escaped me.
Your only child has disappeared. Your hopes, your future, your noble family itself is threatened with dissolution.
Your point, if you refer to the constraints I have placed upon the activities of the police, then perhaps I have imposed too much. I have a morbid fear of the public gaze. It would be foolish not to avail ourselves of Mr. Holmes's services, James, now that he is here.
Mysterious disappearance of your son?
He is a fine boy, Mr. Holmes.
And how long has he been in your class?
Since his arrival here.
Did he speak much of his family?
Not much. It's my belief that he missed his mother. There's something of his father's reticence in him, you understand?
You wouldn't know, I suppose, what time Herr Heidegger retired to his room on the night of the disappearance.
Not really, but quite late. After 11. He was duty roundmaster that night.
You're a cyclist, I believe.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Did Lord Salter ever accompany you?
No, he is not yet able to retain...
Thank you. Doubly helpful.
Pleasure, Mr. Holmes. Dinner will be at 8.
I beg your pardon?
Grows upon me, Watson. There are decidedly points of interest in connection with it, square as the Priory School. This, the main road, with no side turning for a mile either way. To the north of the school, the land rises slowly. To the south, a large district of arable land with high walls and hedgerows. Impossible territory for a bicycle.
On a man and a boy seen together. They completed their investigation on the sightings only this morning.
What was this? A mistaken sightings, Watson. It confirms my suspicion. I don't believe they used the road. That powerful curiosity of quiet places would surely have found them out. I don't think they used the road at all.
Yeah, but the bicycle.
A good cyclist does not need a road, Watson. The moor is intersected with paths. And remember, the moon was at the full. No, it is to the north that our quest must lie. You have done well, Watson. Dinner soon, you'll be happy to hear. But I do have just one point on which I need to be satisfied. Herr Heidegger's room. 10 minutes.
A squalid piece of gossip. And the other an apocryphal and insulting fancy about the origins of my great patron. I did not implore you to come here to blacken the name of the Holdenesses, Mr. Holmes.
Calm yourself, Dr. Huxtable. We have, in fact, advanced some way. I can, for example, describe to you in some detail what took place at this school on that fateful night. Also, Herr Heidegger retired to his room soon after 11 o'clock. He was the duty master that night. Now my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson, will inform day. He allows himself the comfort of removing his jacket. He moves. He collects the candle and moves to his desk to correct 22 exercise books, which contain not only grammatical exercises, but also a lengthy composition. You see my point, Dr. Huxtable. It would have been well after midnight if he had done nothing else. When his candle fails him. The candles are kept in the chest by the door. He rises from the desk to fetch another one, but he cannot see to find them. So he turns to the window to draw the curtains to see better by the moonlight. His meeting by the river. Sensing the enormity of what was taking place, Heidegger runs to the door, knocking over what remains of his glass of sherry as he goes.
I see. Thank you. You alarm me, Mr. Holmes. Do you mean...
I hope not, but if my reasoning is correct, then I do fear for him.
And the boy?
The key to that, Dr. Huxtable, remains out there. Beyond the Drover's Bridge.
carrion crows.
They've earned their name. There's a Dunlop with a patch upon the outer cover. Heidegger's tires were Palmer's. This is not Heidegger's track.
Oh. Who's there?
Whose indeed? Watson. These are Palmer tracks. Heidegger has been this way.
Absolutely extraordinary. Dunlop tracks for 150 yards. They vanish. And Palmer tracks quite clear, leading to these rocks. They vanish. Should have bought some luncheon. Cow.
All traces of horses obliterated. Much evidence the two bicycles have vanished into thin air.
There's a hostelry on the Chesterfield Road. Yes, if we keep on this line, we should come up to it. Holmes.
Lunch! Of course, my dear fellow, you must be starving. Now, observe that map. You will see.
Nothing? Nothing. I must tell His Grace. Nothing. I'm sorry.
It's locked.
Primitive, but forceful, as sporting portraits go. Would you?
We would.
You must ask woman.
Insufferable lout. If we're going all the way to Holderness Hall this afternoon, let us try to hire those unprepossessing beasts. What do you say?
How far are you taking them? Just to the hall and back. You know the way, I dare say.
I worked there for 15 years.
Yeah, you can take them.
Those scratches.
What about them?
Well, to judge at a glance, they were that far apart. What animal would make such a scratch?
Probably a descendant of Champion Jack.
Cockfight.
And next.
How is it, Watson?
It is disgusting, Holmes.
That woman. She's frightened of something. And more than that husband of hers. Deception upon deception. What is it intended to hide?
Deception?
Ah, Watson. My horse is lame. Old shoes, new nails. Ah, Mr. Wilder.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson. Welcome to Holderness Hall.
Duke's private correspondence.
As His Grace's private secretary, perhaps I can be of...
Seen it upon that day.
Yes, quite probably.
Might there have been anything in that letter which would have prompted the boy to run away?
Oh, I hardly think so. Anyway, he would have run here, if anywhere.
Or to his mother in Italy?
No, sir. Even if abetted by this German. He is an intelligent and practical child.
And yet he cries in his sleep. Did His Grace post the letter himself?
His Grace is not in the habit of posting letters. The letter was laid with others upon the study table, and I myself put them there. The only other person who would handle them would be Rivers, who delivers the Daily Post to the lodge.
And you're sure this letter was among them?
Oh, yes. I observed it.
And what have you observed, Mr. Holmes? How does your investigation progress? Are you to disappoint me?
I hope still to render your grace a happier and myself a richer man.
But what have you discovered?
It is mostly a matter of clarification. My belief is that the boy was tempted out of the school by a prearrangement, and I suspect that his mother may have been the bait. His bicycle across the moors with much difficulty. It is almost as if the tracks were deliberately expunged by someone.
Mr. Holmes?
Someone driving cattle. You don't happen to know if the cattle on the moor.
What about?
Old shoes and new nails! Old shoes and new nails!
Holmes, there's something you should see.
It is a remarkable car that trots canters. Reuben Hayes took advantage of a piece of local history. It's bad, Watson. Bad.
German master.
What's left of him?
Hello! Hello!
I was warm at that inn. Warm, as the children say.
It's all over now, Arthur.
A Dunlop with a patch on the outer cover. Have a look, Mrs. Hayes. I'm satisfied that you had no liking for this business.
Come on.
I fancy I see your Grace's checkbook upon your desk. I'd be glad if you'd make me out a check for £6,000. Perhaps it would be best if you were to cross it. Capital and Counties Bank, Oxford Street branch are my agents.
I do not possess a temperament, Mr. Holmes, that appreciates the...
Of you and your father as young men. There your family lineaments are very clear. How long has Mr. Wilder been in your service?
What is your meaning? How dare you, sir? You do not understand. You are a barbarian. You will never. Please leave me immediately. I...
Then it is as I suspected. Mr. James Wilder is your son.
When I... James, whom for her sake I have tended and cared for. He has required, but not warranted, a father's forgiveness many times. And I have forgiven. I have forgiven. I have forgiven much.
Is that he is lost to you. He's conspired to abduct Lord Salter. He's an accessory to a murder, however done. He must be found before you lose the son. Accepted your letter and substituted a note which deceived your son into believing that he was to see his mother. The murderess Hayes was his paid accomplice, but the police have been alerted. Hayes will not escape. What?
I tracked them up onto the moor, but they disappeared. I searched the area, but it's as if the earth just swallowed them up.
With my research into your family history, I seem to recall mention of a huge limestone cavern where the stolen cattle were penned.
The cathedral.
Come on!
My marriage to her founded on James's jealousy. As long as I could see his mother's face and manner in him, James knew he could keep me from the love I owed my wife. Even his cruelty to Arthur, I could not send him away even for that. Power over me. He delighted in exercising power over me, whom he... Save him. Well, a long penance it has seemed. I can only hope that Francesca will forgive me.
The king's ransom.
You have given me back my future.